Please join me with the salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So this is the public hearing portion for the instructional time model. Mr. Javier Baca.
Thank you, President Taylor. Can you hear me? Can you turn up the... There we go. President Taylor, can you hear me? All right. Thank you, sir. President Taylor, members of the board, Superintendent Costello. The purpose of this public hearing is to provide opportunity for public input related to our instructional time model that we are requesting the governing board approve for this school year. 2 years ago, House Bill 2862 allowed for school districts to adopt instructional time models that would give flexibility for us to award instructional time in situations where typically they wouldn't be awardable, such as remote learning opportunities. We are bringing this for your awareness about the instructional time model so that you can have an opportunity for public input, give you a brief overview. We have the statute requires that we present this twice for public input, and then on that second one, we'll ask for formal approval by the governing board. Could you switch to the presentation? Go full screen. All right. So as mentioned, the House Bill 2862 allows us to adopt this model. This is our first of our two public hearings. One thing of note that we will just ensure that if we have to go into any of this remote learning, we track attendance per ADE requirements in a different manner than we traditionally track. So we identify that they are attending in a remote learning session versus attending in a in-person session. And that's how we develop certain codes to ensure that we're tracking those accordingly. And that this remote learning must be offered through an adopted ITM, instruction time model, as we're requesting, or our existing AOI, which is our Arizona Online Instruction Program, which is what we otherwise known as SOSA, Sunnyside Online Success Academy. So what we're proposing is this is our general instructional time model. The only reason for this is should there be an extreme situation such as the need to close a school down and move to remote learning. We adopted this last year. We didn't have to fall back into that position, and we hope that we don't have to invoke this. But this covers our ability to report attendance for students attending remote should we have to move into that. So it's just to kind of cover our base in terms of providing instruction in a remote setting if that were to happen, such as an outbreak of some, COVID outbreak or anything else. And of course, all the other normal requirements will continue to apply in terms of meeting the instructional requirements if we move into this model. The second part of this model is one that gives us flexibility, especially for some of our credit recovery and credit advancement courses at our high school. And what this allows us to do is to provide a 2 or 3 day a week in-person session coupled with a 2 or 3 day a week remote learning session. And by adopting this model, the governing board adopting this model, we're able to provide that and still claim all the normal instructional time hours that are spent, whether they be remote or in person, and receive the full funding for our ability to provide that learning in that setting. So we will ensure that our schedules meet or exceed the required minutes, and we will align all of our attendance policies to conform with this same model. Just to give you additional information, we have a comprehensive distance learning plan that outlines how we monitor and provide instruction for remote learning opportunities. And that distance learning plan has detailed information that we reference in this document. And once you adopt it after our second public hearing, we will ensure that ADE is provided this authorized adoption so that we will be able to claim those instructional minutes. with that's the entire information of the time model. With that, I would, ask if we ask for any public input, and then we can close this public hearing at your prerogative.
Thank you, Mr. Rocco. So now we're going to go ahead and open up to public comment. If we have any comments, please come on up. Asking again for public comment. Asking one more time. Thank you. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Dong?
Yes.
Ms. Quintero?
Aye.
Mr. Taylor?
Aye. All right. All right. Now we have our regular meeting. Do we go ahead and do? Can I get a call to the order? My bad. I'm calling the meeting to order. If everyone could please rise again for the salute to the flag. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Can I get a roll call of the board?
Ms. Dong?
Here.
Ms. Nunez? Ms. Quintero?
Present.
Mr. Taylor?
Present.
Ms. Hernandez?
All right. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
I move that we approve the agenda as submitted.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Dong?
Yes.
Ms. Quintero?
Aye.
Mr. Taylor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Governing board comments? Do we have any governing board comments? Ms. Dong?
Yeah, I just want to, really congratulate everybody that helped at STAR today with Belinda Stevens, the counselor there. She put together her sorority teachers, her sorority sisters rather, came and helped with voter registration. And we were able to register over 40 kids. And so I thought that was pretty cool. We just let them know the importance of having their voice out there and making sure that even if they weren't 18 yet, we were able to still register them so that they could then later on, get their cards. And they had a lot of questions and they had a lot of things that they thought that weren't correct. And so it was good for everybody to be there. There must have been about 6 of the sorority sisters there for Miss Stevens. And I'm really excited about how we are always doing what we do as far as engaging with the community and making sure that we are not putting any stumbling blocks. But we always are working hard with the University of Arizona. The Lions Club right now is in our district schools and helping the children with getting glasses. And there's a fantastic partner with us in making sure that all of our students are having glasses. We do a lot of different things with organizations because Sunnyside does not put blocks in the way. We welcome organizations to come and help us out. And I'm really proud of Sunnyside for doing that. So I just wanted to mention what happened today at STAR. How exciting that was. The kids were excited because they got to play raffle games and everything too. So that was a pretty nice experience that we had today. And that's it.
Ms. Quintero?
Well, she stole my thunder. So I was also going to talk about the Cyber Lions and the STAR students. But I also want to congratulate Audrey Jimenez for getting silver at the Women's World Team Nationals. So awesome, Audrey.
Pretty cool.
So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Quintero. I had the pleasure last week of touring campuses with our head of security here, Mr. Ryan Powell. So it was really cool just to kind of see the logistics and what goes on behind the scenes of keeping our schools safe. Of course, we have some places where we could improve. We have some things that we're doing really, really good at. So I really look forward to having that dialogue in the future, as we kind of navigate a new world. So thank you so much. Superintendent's report, Mr. Costello.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Taylor, members of the board, members of the audience. And speaking of stealing thunder, we're gonna recognize Audrey Jimenez here, who won silver medal at the UWW World Championships. She continues to make us proud. And so a big congratulations goes out to Audrey for representing the United States and becoming a world silver medalist at the UWW World Championships in Sofia, Bulgaria. And so, as I said, she continues to excel in the sport of wrestling. She continues to be such a great role model for our female students. And the other thing I want to add is not only does she have success on the mat athletically, she's also had a lot of academic success with keeping her grades up. And she's got a bright future, and we've said that many times before. So congratulations, Audrey, and congratulations to the family as well. Also want to recognize Sunnyside EMS program earns official training center label. Mr. Cootie's EMS program at Sunnyside High School recently earned a label of official training center by the Arizona Department of Health Services. This means that Mr. Cootie can officially provide instruction and training as well as off-site learning experiences for his students. So they qualify to test for the EMT National Registry exam at the end of their program. Those who pass both the written and skills exams will receive their EMT National Registry certification and be eligible for employment after their high school graduation. So congratulations to Sunnyside and Mr. Cootie. Desert View High School Agriculture Program. Ms. Lowry's agriculture students are teaming up with Community Food Bank and Sonoran Mesquite Barrio Restoration Alliance to contribute to a tree planting project aimed at increasing Tucson's shade canopy by 20,000 trees in areas of the city that are especially vulnerable to extreme heat. The Arizona Daily Star mentioned that the food bank will teach students to build a shade hut and to plant and maintain the trees. They'll also learn about shade and heat island discrepancies in Tucson and tree care, including how to properly trim and to prevent diseases. Taz Almazan becomes Jiu-Jitsu champion. Congratulations to Taz Almazan, sixth grade student at Liberty Elementary, for winning state and national titles in Jiu-Jitsu. Taz is a 3-time Arizona State Jiu-Jitsu champion, a 1-time national champion, and placed 5th in the world at the Pan Kids Jiu-Jitsu Olympics. So congratulations to Taz as well. Society for Science Lead Advocate. Congratulations to Ms. Jackie Nichols of Lawford Middle School for being named a Society for Science Lead Advocate this school year. The Society for Science Advocate program is a professional development program that supports teachers and mentors who are working to increase the number of students from traditionally unrepresented and low-income households who enter STEM research competitions. As a lead advocate, Ms. Nichols will lead a group of teachers in the Western U.S. and uplift student scientists and engineers. Young voter registration. Star Academic High School students, student council members teamed up with the members of Delta Sigma Theta sorority to host their quarterly community service event on campus. Student council believes it is important to encourage more young people to vote and understand that their vote can bring change to minority communities. 28 students have registered to vote within the first 2 days they have been hosting the event. Student council is hoping to reach their goal of 40 registrations by Friday, and with
They've
the
already
announcement
reached
Ms. Dong made, they have reached that goal. So this concludes the superintendent's report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gaston. We have some recognitions, so if the governing board can join me down below.
Yes, you can read it.
Okay, if we can have Mr. Javier Morales and Andy Morales, please join us up here.
so thank you for doing what you do. So on the certificate, it says the Sunnyside Unified School District Governing Board proudly recognizes the professional journalism of All Sports Tucson, which continues to amplify the legacy of athletic excellence in Sunnyside Unified School District. The Sunnyside Unified School District Governing Board would like to recognize Javier and Andy Morales, the siblings behind All Sports Tucson, a unique website that highlights community youth and high school athletics, combining in-depth analysis and professional reporting. Javier and Andy were raised in the Sunnyside community and attended Sunnyside schools. Javier is also a graduate of Sunnyside High School. The governing board applauds you for your accomplishments, and tonight we are proud to recognize this pair of award-winning journalists who do an outstanding job covering athletics in Southern Arizona, in addition to honoring the legacy of athletic excellence here in the Sunnyside School District. Thank you, Javier and Andy, for representing the entire Sunnyside community. Which one's which? They're twins.
So we both went to Los Ranchitos. I was spanked many times in that wing, right? Mostly because my mom let them. No, that was a time, I've been teaching for 35 years. That was a time where I said, don't tell my parents, and of course they told my parents. Now my students say, go call my parents, so it's a totally different world. And then I went to Sunnyside Junior High, then it became Sierra. And then we moved, and my brother graduated from Sunnyside High School, and I'll let him talk. Thank you again. This is my mom, Elsa, and her boyfriend, Jim. My mom's cousin, Roberto, who a lot of you know, Adam, you, and various other family members here.
Thank you, distinguished board members, Superintendent Castellum. This is a great honor to stand up here and look across and see Los Ranchitos right there where we attended growing up. I went through there through 5th grade. Then, like Andy said, we moved to Maryland for 4 years. I came back to Sunnyside as a sophomore. Very thankful that I was able to come back and graduate from Sunnyside in 1985. Proud Sunnyside graduate. What's very special about this award is we do a lot of youth and high school coverage, which includes the Sunnyside schools, but includes all schools in Southern Arizona. And I see a lot of faces here that I've interviewed numerous times, and they've been so accommodating. All the Sunnyside and Desert View coaches, the administrators. The real star here is Audrey Jimenez. We're gonna read a lot about her in years to come. It's different generations here. We got her as a high school junior attending Sunnyside. We have people that graduated from Sunnyside many years ago, including our cousin Bobby Adamil, not too long ago, right? But that's what's special about this award is we're standing here. Los Ranchitos is right there where we lived at Del Moral. Valencia is about a mile away, and here we are years later, honored. We're honored to be part of this, and I'm really thankful that my daughter can watch this live stream. She's in Las Vegas right now. She can watch this. My mom, her boyfriend Jim, our family friends are here. It's just a great honor, and I really appreciate you guys doing this. Tremendous, and we're going to keep on doing it as much as we can, as well as we can. Thank you.
I would also say that our families thank you because we haven't been home a lot over the last 15 years, and then he joined me a few years after that. So, but it's been a great honor to watch. We've seen a lot of kids from the age of 7 through college, so it's been great.
We all want to thank you. You've done an incredible job over the years, incredible job. You've impacted so many youth, and you've impacted them, their lives, and you made their lives better. And I just, here at Sunnyside, we just, can't say enough to thank you for everything that you've done.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, I just want to say a few things, just because, I know athletics for me was something real special growing up, and if you guys were around when I played, I think I would have got a Division I scholarship, but no, all kidding aside, this is long overdue. It really is to recognize you two individuals for the work you do in the community. It means I know it means a lot to our coaches that are here in the audience, and our athletic directors here in the audience, and our athletes. Just to get recognized, they work really hard at what they do, and when their name is in bold lettering and All Sports Tucson website, I have a routine of checking that every morning because I was looking for, the accolades for our students, and just mentioning their name, the confidence builder it is for them is huge. And I really respect that. Not only you cover all sports, you cover all Southern Arizona, but I know that you guys pay special attention to Sunnyside, and it's neat that it's just not the high school and the college sports you're recognizing. I've seen where they've recognized our Little League All-Stars, and they recognize our middle school district championships and stuff. So, from our district here at Sunnyside and your district as well, we want to say thank you for doing what you do, and it means a lot to us. It really does.
Go in the middle.
We're going to recognize the Bond Advisory Committee, known as BOC. Gloria Lopez, Ted Rodriguez, Laura Higgins. You won, come on. I'll say Daniel Espinosa Hernandez, Herman Verdugo, Guadalupe Romero, Maria Tomei. So on the certificate, it reads that the Sunnyside Unified School District Governing Board proudly recognizes your years of service as a member of the Bond Advisory Committee. Your commitment and passion for making decisions to enhance the quality of Sunnyside Unified School District schools have positively affected the quality of school life for our students. 2011, Sunnyside Unified School District voters authorized $88 million in Class B bonds. Subsequently, the Bond Advisory Committee was formed to assist the Governing Board with identifying, reviewing, and recommending approval to responsibly and ethically expend bond-funded revenues. The Governing Board would like to recognize the members of the Bond Advisory Committee for the years of service that they have dedicated to guiding the many improvement projects throughout our schools that have improved safety and security, technology systems, athletic fields, and many building improvements that our students can both benefit from and be proud of. Thank you so much.
Again, just want to thank the BOC committee for being here and all your years of service. It started 11 years ago, as Ms. Quintero said. We passed the $88 million bond, and it was a lot of nights of meetings, a lot of discussions that occurred. But at the end of every one of those meetings, they were always making decisions on what is best for our students. And so, a lot of people don't know this, and we need to share these stories because if it wasn't for that bond money, we would be struggling with our facilities. And so over the years, just to name a few projects, and I had the opportunity to see it as a district, when I was a principal at the site level and here at district office, some of the projects that occurred. But we're talking new basketball courts, new tracks, batting cages. You're talking security vehicles, technology, laptops. I mean, I can go on and on and on and on, right? And so I know these individuals here, have a big heart for our community, have a big heart for our students, and it's sad that this has come to an end. But we definitely want to thank you for all the work you've done over the years. And they always looked at it as our kids deserve the best. Why not our kids, right? And so there were some tough discussions in there, and you know, and they said it earlier in our BOC meeting. You know, we wish we had more money. We wish we could have fulfilled more requests, because every site administrator is fighting for their kids, right? Every site administrator is saying this is what we need, and although we had $88 million, there was different categories that had to be spent, right? And they had to be spent over so many years, but they did an outstanding job of taking care of the needs of our students. So I just want to say thank you from the district, and I know our community thanks you as well.
Before I let you speak, I want to thank you too. You guys came as many times as we came to board meetings. You guys were here also in your own board meetings as a bond advisory committee. Not only that, we come here a couple times a month. You guys came here and did all of that. Plus, during the daytime, you guys went out to the sites to see, you know, what really needed to be done, and then to make sure that it was being done. You guys made sure you took a look at what they were doing. You kept on top of it. I really appreciate that. You didn't just say, here, do this, and this, and okay, the night's over, let's go home. You guys really worked hard. I know there was a lot of discussions during your meetings, and then after your meetings, you guys went to check things out. And I really appreciate the time you took and the love you have for our community, for our schools, and for our students. Thank you so very much. And I'm going to give you these, but first I'll let you guys speak.
I just want to say it was an honor serving our district. It's been a long time coming, and yes, I wish we had more money, because there are so many other projects that need to be done, or some that need extra money that we can't really work on right now. We don't want to do it half done. We want a complete job. And everybody on this committee has worked hard. We've had headaches. There's been stress. And as for me, some sleepless nights deciding this way or that way. But we all came to agreement, and we all worked well. So everybody decides kudos. And we did it for our kids. We did it for our community. We did it for our teachers. We did it for Sunnyside.
Hi, my name is Ted Rodriguez. I had the honor and privilege of being appointed by Miss Becky Quintero. I had no idea what I was getting into at all. And she said, you could help us in the BOC. I said, what is the BOC? I'm quite honest, I had no idea. I was fortunate to be the chief building inspector for the town of Sahuarita, and had no idea that they would use some of that expertise. But the more and more the projects got involved, the more and more that I said, it's going to be done right, because it's doing for my community, my Sunnyside kids, my parents, my teachers, my administrators, counselors, the whole works. I'm proud of what we did. I am so proud. I have a son that's teaching in TUSD right now. I mean, as a principal at Hollinger, and seeing what we have here and what we've done and what we provided for our community. And like Gloria said, if we could have had more, we could have given more. But I think that it was a process that took a lot of soul searching, a lot of information, and it wasn't what people wanted, it was what people needed. I remember when we gave the band almost $1 million to provide instruments for every student in the district, because we saw that this is a community that not only supports education, but it supports the arts and sports. I was born and raised in South Tucson, TUSD product, Mission View, Wakefield, and Pueblo, but Sunnyside is my life. And I want to thank all the board members here that especially Gloria. Gloria helped me along the whole way. She was here 11 years, I was only here 8.5 years. But I think that we did a good job. I'm so proud to be part of Sunnyside. I look around, I drive around Sunnyside. Gloria and I drove hours and hours checking different sites, because we couldn't trust somebody with our money and say they were going to do a good job. We made sure they did a good job. So thank you for letting me be part of this, Ms. Quintero. Thank you for appointing me. I appreciate that. And I hope we did you proud.
Hi, I'm Laura Higgins, probably the newest member of BOC. But just like they've said, Sunnyside District is a great district to be a part of, and helping the kids and making sure they have safe places to learn and play is very important. And I've had 2 children in the district and now 2 grandchildren, so this is very important to me.
Hello, my name is Maria Tomain, and I stay for 11 years, and I honored to be here with Beck. And my kids is in this district, and I started be a volunteer. And when this invited me to the back, I'm really excited, and now I'm really sad because it's finished. Because this not only this commit, it's like a family. And always this yes is sometimes this no too. And I learn for everybody, I learn something. And thank you, and I'm proud the Sunnyside district.
Hi, my name is Daniel Hernandez. I've had all 3 of my kids graduate from Sunnyside. I want to thank all the teachers that were their teachers while they were in school, because they're the ones that put them in the positions that they're in now. No one does this alone. All the teachers that were there when they needed help helped them to be what they are now. I want to thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Lupe Romero. I have been at the beginning of 11 years. I didn't realize like how much work we did over the last 11 years. My 2 youngest were born during this time. They go to Elvira, and I was explaining them, now they're old enough to understand what this spot was. They realized like, oh, Mom, you did the, the basketball court, the safety guards, the cameras. They realized it, and they're like, you did that. I'm like, I was part of it. I wasn't the only one. I was all like, there was many, like you said, it was a lot of hard work. Some of us didn't agree on some of the items, and some people wanted something, some people wanted something else, but we worked together to come to an arrangement, an agreement, just because our pride is for Sunnyside. I'm a product of Sunnyside district. My parents graduated from Sunnyside High School, and now my kids are going there, and I'm just very proud that was able to help the same community I've been a part of all my life.
Now, we also have certificates of recognition for each of them.
Oh.
We're gonna do one more recognition. So before you all head out, we want to do one more recognition. Let's have Audrey Jimenez come up here, please. All right, we're gonna, we also want to take this moment, we did it during the superintendent's report, to recognize Audrey Jimenez for her accomplishments, especially this last one here, where she represented not only the United States and Tucson, but the Sunnyside High School and the Sunnyside districts at the UWW finals in Bulgaria, right? And so, again, she wrestled in the final. She's a silver medalist, in the whole world. It just blows my mind when you think of world finals, right? We're not talking state championship. We're not talking district championship. We're talking world finals. And she wrestled. She bumped up in a division. Audrey's 16 years old, right, Audrey? 16 years old. She wrestled in the under 20 division, right? So she was wrestling other individuals older than her, right? In terms of more mature bodies, more probably more experience just because they're older, and she held her own. And so again, she's made us really, really proud. We're super proud of her. I call her the top dog, right? Because not any of our male wrestlers have made it to. They've wrestled in the world finals, but not competed in a championship finals in the world. So. From the Sunnyside School District, we want to thank you and we want to recognize you for your accomplishments. And we know she's got a bright future, right? She's been up here. She's a veteran of these recognitions, right? Because, she keeps earning new recognitions. And so, as I stressed earlier, not only does she excel on the mat, but definitely in the classroom. And she's got a lot of scholarships coming her way, scholarship offers. She may graduate here in 3 years and leave us early. We're hoping you stay another year, but we'll have to convince her. But athletically, she's ready to move on and compete. So, thank you. You want to say a few words?
I just wanted to thank everybody. It takes a village, and the Sunnyside community has helped me out so much throughout. When I missed school, and they've been understanding, my teachers and everybody. I've just learned so much, and I'm thankful and super grateful to be part of this community and have everybody.
Ready. So we have no call to the audience this evening, so we're going to go on ahead and move on. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move that we approve the consent agenda as submitted.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Dong?
Yes.
Ms. Quintero?
Aye.
Mr. Taylor?
Aye. All right, moving on to general functions, we have our enrollment update. Mr. Buck.
I apologize. I think you might have the previous version of the order. The order is the consideration of Jewel litigation was the first item. I apologize. If that's okay for you to proceed with that item, because our attorney who's visiting to discuss this item has a trip back to Phoenix.
Okay.
So that would be okay to follow that order. All right. So I'll invite Mr. Oh. Is that okay to proceed with the Jewel litigation?
Absolutely.
All right. So thank you, Mr. President, members of the board, and Mr. Castellum. With us today is Mr. Joseph Tan, attorney with the Joseph Tan Law Firm, and he contacted Mr. Castellum a few weeks back regarding potential Jewel litigation. So we asked him to be here to explain his perspective on and the history related to this litigation. We think that this is something is a valuable consideration for the board to entertain, and so I'll pass it to Mr. Tan to give you a little bit of background, and then we'll ask for your thoughts and any questions you might have. Thank you, Mr. Tan.
Thank you, Javier. Can you hear me okay? Okay, great. Mr. President, members of the board, Superintendent Gastelum, thank you for having me here today to discuss this important issue with you. I know your time is limited, so I'll be brief. My name is Joseph Tan. I'm a licensed attorney and member in good standing of the State Bar of Arizona. My practice is dedicated almost exclusively to representing Arizona public entities such as yourself in civil litigation against large corporations. Currently, I'm serving as lead counsel to both the City of Tucson and also Pima County in the national opioid litigation. Today, however, I'm here to talk to you about Juul. For those of you who do not know, Juul is a company that manufactures, markets, and sells electronic cigarettes known as vaporizers. Now, by itself, I have no personal issues with vaporizers in general when used by informed, consenting adults. Let me be clear on that. The problem, though, is that while Juul Company marketed their product as an adult smoking cessation device, it simultaneously launched a viral marketing campaign that was clearly targeted at our youth. Their vaporized campaign, as they called it, ran ads on places like Nickelodeon and the Cartoon Network. They created flavors like fruit medley and mango. They paid social media influencers with millions of young followers to post pictures and to endorse their products. They even went as far to design their device so it looks like a slick USB device, USB drive, so that teachers and administrators could not identify it for what it really was, an electronic nicotine delivery system, or ENDS. That's the direct term from their own literature. I didn't make that up, that's theirs, an ENDS device. Now, I think perhaps most egregiously, maybe other than the Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network ads, were that hoodies were designed with a special pocket up the sleeve so that the Juul device could be concealed and used without detection from teachers and administrators. It gets worse, but I'm not going to bore you with all the details. But in addition to this concurrent marketing campaign, they designed an ENDS device that was more efficient and more effective at delivering stronger concentrations of nicotine than any other e-cigarette in history. In fact, a single Juul pod, which is about the size of my thumb, contains an entire pack, 20 cigarettes worth of nicotine. Now, the Juul company certainly knew what they were doing, and they knew it was wrong. They looked the other way and they pocketed billions of dollars while getting a whole new generation of kids addicted to nicotine. And think about it from a corporate earnings perspective. If you get a 60-year-old adult customer hooked on these devices, then you likely have a customer for about 15 years. However, if you get a 15-year-old student hooked, well, then you have a customer for about 60 years. And so this concept's known as CLTV, or customer lifetime value. So it's something they study, they track, and they want customers for longer periods of time. And so to do that, younger and younger kids are kind of their target audience. So, in short, this has to stop. And I'm proud to tell you that we're doing everything we can within our power to make it stop. Currently, over 1,000 school districts across the country have joined this effort. In Arizona, 7 of the top 10 largest school districts have filed suit. Our team, which consists of my firm and the Keller Rohrbach law firm out of Seattle, with the second largest office here in Phoenix, represents the majority of these top 10 largest litigating school districts. In total, we represent just over 200 schools and more than 150,000 students here in Arizona. And the purposes of these lawsuits are to provide schools with the funding to abate this public nuisance and to curb the juuling epidemic. However, as you know, and as we heard earlier today, school funding is limited, right? So rather than ask our finance folks to try to find money somewhere in an already overstretched budget, or try to ask our taxpayers to foot the bill that they should never have had to pay, we think that the companies who made billions of dollars in profit should be the ones responsible for funding this effort. Now, if this sounds reminiscent of big tobacco, it's because it is. In fact, the Juul company, a third of it is now owned by Altria, which is the parent company that owns Philip Morris, who has cigarette brands like Marlboro, Parliament, Virginia Slims, and Black & Mild. So I don't consider this to be like fighting the big tobacco companies. We are fighting the big tobacco companies. This is just what it looks like in the 21st century. In fact, until his untimely passing last October, my co-counsel on these cases was my best friend and mentor, the late, great Grant Woods, who served as Arizona's Attorney General when we successfully sued the tobacco companies and prevailed in the late 90s. And in a meeting very similar to this one, shortly before he passed away, I stood right next to Grant when he spoke to a board very much like you, and he told them, "We're going to do this, we're going to win, and we want you to be a part of it." Since Grant can't be here today, I'm the one standing in front of you, and I'm inviting you to join us on this most worthwhile effort, because we are doing this, we are winning, and we want you to be a part of it. Time is of the essence, so we encourage you to get involved as soon as possible. With that in mind, I'll go ahead and answer any questions that you have. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any questions?
Just a comment. I want to thank you for your hard work. I know you're doing a lot of traveling to get the message out there, and I appreciate it for our community, for our students, for their parents, that are having to deal with this. Tobacco industry has always been horrible as far as the youth is concerned and their health is concerned. So I want to just thank you for all that you're doing out there and all that Grant was also doing. I know it's hard work. The traveling is hard, and yet you're out there doing this, and so I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Quintero.
Yes, I also want to thank you for doing the work. I don't think the company understands that when you get these kids hooked on nicotine at an early age, they're going to die earlier too. So
Right.
they're not going to be 60 years old.
Right.
So thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I do have a few questions for you. The first one being, currently you're based off of the most recent numbers you've seen. What's the ratio of students that are using nicotine products or even electronic nicotine products?
Right, that's a great question, and the problem is the data, because it's illegal, right? And so just like all illegal substances, it's illegal for a youth or a minor to use it. So self-reporting's no good. It's actually incredibly insightful to see, for years they shipped directly to people's homes and kids were using their parents' identification. We think it's around 33%, about 1 in 3. It's certainly, I'll tell you, it was amazing because working with Grant all these years, the youth smoking crisis really was solved by the big tobacco lawsuits. It got down to 4%. And one of the things, my nephew, when I was talking to him right before he came down to U of A last year, it was kind of funny. We were talking about the Marlboro Man, and we were talking about Joe Camel. He had never heard of him because he's only 19 years old. And so they weren't around. And that's what I want to do to Jewel. So our best guess is about a third. It's a guesstimate, I'll tell you that, just because of the problems with the reliability of the data. But, you know, our goal is to get it down into the single digits.
Right. Another question for you. Since the crackdown on Juul has been going on for a couple years now, right? Or at least it's been out in the media. And they have taken back some of their products, like the mint, like the fruity flavors, all of that. Is there a bridge between them doing that and less use from our youth?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's one of the successes of this efforts. You know, I'll tell you though, it's sort of, you know, you get all excited because you win, and then there's an appeal. So that's what most recently happened in July. The FDA said, hey, Jewel, you can't market any of your products anymore. And they said, okay, we're going to go to a federal appellate judge. And then he stayed, you know, so he said, okay, no, you can continue to sell your products and bring them to market, not the flavors. You're absolutely right, which, you know, I consider to be a huge success for us. You know, for years you haven't been able to do flavors other than menthol with combustible cigarettes, and now they're doing the exact same thing, which I think is overdue, but it's a step in the right direction.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you for the work that you do.
If I may, Mr. Taylor, just got a few comments here, just for the public to hear this. You know, I know we didn't cover cost. What is it going to cost us as a district? So if you can cover that piece,
Of
please.
course. No, it's sort of bury the lead. I should start with that. We don't charge you anything unless there's a recovery. You know, sort of like you would see a personal injury lawyer in a car wreck, that sort of deal. So there's absolutely no expenses unless we get a monetary recovery for you. If we do successfully recover monetary damages, our teams get 25%, which is the going standard rate. We do have that in all of our contracts with school districts in Arizona. So, you know, well, I won't say their name, the largest school district in Arizona, we represent them, exact same terms. We figured that everybody's going to be treated on equal footing.
Yeah. The other comment I just had is you know, this vaping issue has just been a constant issue for years now in our school systems, you know, not only across the nation, across the state, but also in our district. You know, when we do our data in terms of our violations, you know, student violations in terms of our code of conduct handbook, student handbook when it comes to discipline, that's always one of the higher percentage violations that's you know, that comes up. And so I know a couple years ago, right before the pandemic hit, we were trying to have a town hall on vaping because we wanted to educate the public and our parents, and just as Mr. Tan explained, you know, the flavors, like how can you conceal it, you know, the types of you know, the USBs, you know, and different types of products they're making, just really sneaky, right, in terms of let's fool the young kids and let's fool the parents. There's a whole, you know, there's a presentation done a couple years ago. There's a whole language that students use, and I just saw this on the news the other day, that of how they communicate, you know, these individuals that are selling these products to young children. And so, you know, it's thank you for being here and providing us this information, because it's something that we've been battling and fighting for years and in our schools, and we need to continue to educate our parents and our public of what's going on with this, right? And so I just wanted to make those few comments. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. This is an action item.
Yes,
correct?
right.
Okay. Can I get a motion?
I can read, yeah. You want me to read it?
It's up to you. You want to do it? You can go ahead.
Okay. So I make a motion to recommend SUSD joining the dual litigation and execution of the engagement agreement to Keller Rohrbeck LLP and Law Office of the Joseph C. Tan PLLC as presented.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Dong?
Yes.
Ms. Quintero?
Aye.
Mr. Taylor?
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It'll be an honor to represent the district.
Thank you. All right, next on the agenda, we have our projects update.
The first slide. All right, President Taylor, members of the board, Superintendent Costello. We would like to provide you with a overview of what we just consider the large-scale projects that are underway across the district. And as we've been assessing the state of our district recently, we understand how many projects there are, important projects, and you'll hear about most of those. The first thing I'll mention is that Mr. Ralph Smith was going to be here standing to present this side of it, but just for your information, there's a pretty heavy leak happening right now in the West Gym of Sunnyside's basketball.
Oh, no.
So we asked him to go and help manage that and make sure that we're protecting the new wood flooring that is being installed underway. So I'm going to be covering for that side of it, and he and I have worked together on this presentation, so I'll be able to, I think, provide as much of the information and actually follow up with him if you have any additional questions. The first part of it was what we wanted to just give you an overview of our bond-funded projects. And as we just recognized our bond committee members, this represents the very final pieces of the bond funds that were allocated out of their last action items. The stadium press box at Sunnyside, intermediate playground at Gallego Intermediate Playground, the auditorium renovation at DV, our auditorium front stage access at Sunnyside. I think you're all aware of it, how narrow those stairs are and what possible hazard that is, and so we need to get that repaired. And our middle school ADA compliant bathroom project at Sierra. Those are some of the big ones that the bond asked us to follow through with. So this is an overview of what's going to look like with the Gallego Intermediate renovation. You can see the area in green that's going to be turfed, and the other area that Mr. Smith and the contractor who has been hired with bond funds will go through and address those needs to make this field usable. This was a long-standing. You may have recalled some of the back and forth. We had estimates coming in varying from $1.5 to $3.5 million, and we never could land on something. But we finally just said, let's give it $500,000, and let's do what we can get done. And so Mr. Smith has come up with a plan that is going to begin to actually they're breaking ground on Thursday, 2 days from now. So we're excited to see that there's going to be some forward progress being made at Gallego Intermediate. This is a view of what the new ADA seating for Desert View, the new seating auditorium upgrade. If you've been in the auditorium, you see that equipment is old. A lot of them are falling apart. A lot of them don't even fold. So that'll be happening very, very quickly. We're just waiting to get delivery on the new hardware that's been ordered, and once we have that, then we'll let the school know that we'll be installing that and minimizing the interruption to the school. So that's another important project underway. This is an overview of the Sierra bathroom renovation that's underway. So just wanted to give you, this is actively happening. I believe the current estimated completion date is October 17th, if I recall, is the most current date. So it's going to be within the next 2 months we will have that area fully ADA compliant and that new renovation complete. Some of the other items that we just wanted you to be aware of, I apologize that this is small font. There are 10 schools that are receiving significant HVAC upgrades actively underway. We awarded a bid last fiscal year, and 10 of our schools will be receiving those upgrades throughout the remaining this school year. So that's going to represent some significant improvements on our reliability of our cooling systems, our HVAC systems across those schools. We have artificial turf at Desert View and Sunnyside High School. Those are expected to be completed in the middle of September 15th. We are keeping our fingers crossed that they're going to be able to stay true to those dates. Right now it does, even with the recent rains, we're still on track. We do know that those rains can extend that a little bit longer, but we're pushing as hard as possible to make sure we complete that on time. The Sunnyside West Gym floor, that's why Mr. Ralph isn't here today. We exposed some oversanding issues of the of previous years that resulted in the floor being not usable as we were preparing it for this school year. It needed to be replaced because the nails were now exposed. So we need to replace the entire wood flooring. That was a rush project that was ordered right at the beginning of the school year. We're fortunate to be able to get the equipment and the materials shipped very quickly. And right now he's there trying to make sure that we protect that wood floor from the water that's falling from the roof. So that's anticipated completion date is mid to late October. So by November 1st, we expect that to be usable. We also have awarded new LED marquees to all schools, a new contract for new LED marquees. So this is another long time overdue project. It's an effort to maintain quality communications with our community and increase our sense of pride in our facilities. So that project is underway. We are awaiting a scheduled kickoff meeting so that we can meet with all of our school principals and establish what their expectations are about the design, the logo, the color schemes, and how that's going to work. So that is happening throughout this fiscal year. This school year, we will be completing our school marquees.
Just real quick on the marquee before we go on, who's the company that is providing the marquees?
Summit West is the name of the vendor who's providing those marquees. And the committee who reviewed that were all impressed with the quality of the signage that they proposed. And so we do feel that's going to be a significant enhancement to our facilities once that's completed. One other project that we want to reference is, as we were opening schools, what we identified is that there's just been a neglect of helping the schools rid themselves of old equipment, old hardware, old furniture that's unusable. And so Mr. Martinez, Mr. Smith helped put together a plan where we are actively visiting all of our schools, and we have a plan where a roll-off unit that allows us to take, along with a couple trucks, are visiting every school site. Tomorrow, I think, is Los Niños. And so that's actually a beautification project because it's long overdue that our schools need to get rid of some of the old equipment, and we're actively moving those around. So I want to acknowledge the work that's gone behind too. It's a lot of work. And our staff have come together to do a good job of serving our schools in that way. And here's a quick few pictures of the field underway. This is at Desert View, the new field. Again, this is the dirt that's being removed is going to be used to support to provide quality dirt at the Gallego Intermediates project as well. So we were able to save on having to identify a source of quality material by reusing what's being removed from Desert View for the artificial turf. This is some more pictures of the project underway. This is at Sunnyside. Here is the wood flooring being prepped. This is where Mr. Smith is right now. And this is just a picture of that project being underway. And this is the new flooring, the maple wood that arrived to provide the new basketball court. This is a quick mock-up of that Summit West sign for one of our schools. Actually, this is a nice-looking one, but some of the other ones were actually even more impressive in terms of the quality of how that signage is going to come to be. So we're excited to receive that upgrade to our schools. All right, that covers the facilities and bond projects. Any questions before I move on to Mr. Rascon? I'm inviting him up here as our network administrator to talk about some information technology projects. Yes, Ms. Quintana.
I have two questions. One, is the roof leaking?
Yes.
And so is that being taken
Yes.
care of? Okay.
That is another active issue that's being addressed, but clearly the current rain tonight exposed another issue that needs to be addressed. Yeah.
Okay, and the roll-off are those items going to be recycled?
Yes.
Or, okay.
So they're going under the same property disposal process, including recycling.
Okay.
But what we decided to do is let's not let it pile up at our schools.
Right.
We can have it pile up over here and go at a pace so that our schools aren't having to figure out places to put things. So
Okay.
that was the change in that plan.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
No question.
All right, so information technologies. I'll let Mr. Robert Rascon, he's our network administrator. He's done a great job of helping prepare our network to be resilient and reliable, and a couple of important projects that are underway related to our increased reliability. Mr. Rascon? No,
President Taylor, members of the governing board, and Superintendent Castellum. My name is Robert Rascon, network administrator. Couple projects I've been in charge of, backup WAN. It's for if our fiber gets cut or anything between the links between the schools, that will kick in and we can have reliable, internet. We could relay messages through email, phone calls, and all that. Our estimation completion date is October 1st, hopefully sooner. Another project I'm working on is our co-location migration. That is a facility 2 miles away from here that will we will put our network equipment and all our servers, our mission critical servers. They will be in charge of maintaining power, AC, all that, so we can have some, we have a lot of sleepless nights when we have storms like this, but hopefully that will get done shortly.
And thank you, Mr. Roscoe. Those two projects are important because we've had a car hit a tree, hit a vehicle hit a pole in the corner of Valencia and El Vernon, and it took the school down. And because everything is so critical, not just instruction, but emergency communications, that we came up with this backup wide area network, that's what WAN stands for, design, that's going to give us that failover. So even if that happens, it's going to have a wireless connection that's always going to keep the school up. So, it not only addresses operational priorities, keeping school functioning, classrooms working, emergency priorities. So if there's a security situation, we know that we can still maintain connectivity to our schools, and the colo migration as well. So Mr. Rascon has been actively managing those two projects. Thank you. Some other areas of IT include, and this is one that I'm particularly proud of because we, using bond funds, way back in 2011, we initially deployed the projectors in classrooms. And those served a great purpose for 12 years, and now we are upgrading those with new, brighter, new technology. We use a laser-based projection. So this is just a quick couple of images of active classrooms. The one on the left is at Craycroft. The one on the right was just last week at Los Niños. And I can't express enough that we've walked, Mr. Gastelum and our leadership team have walked the classrooms, and over the time you just saw how dim those projectors came, and it was frustrating to have the teachers have to black up all of the windows just so that they can have the students see what's on the screen. And now you can see how bright it is. Look at that picture on the left. It's a night and day difference, no pun intended. It's just such a huge difference, and it really makes the learning more possible with that visibility. So we're excited about that. Now, an additional benefit of that was that we did all the labor of this in-house, and I always highlight this because we did the same thing with our camera project. We provided an opportunity for IT technicians to do the actual installation. So we could have gone with an external outsourced contractor to do this work at probably 2 or 3 times the additional cost. The only downside is that it takes more time because we're completing our normal responsibilities and providing overtime evening work to complete this work. It's still a net savings to the district, a significant net savings. It just takes a little bit more time. We were thankfully able to get the bulk of the work done over the summer, and so in preparation for the new school year. Some of them are still being completed as we speak, but I think this is a significant improvement for our learning environments, and so that was another IT project that has been mostly completed, almost underway. The next one, it's not advancing there. Can you advance the next one there, Shane? There we go. Okay. Another important, this is related, what I would consider a long overdue upgrade to our intercom systems across the district. We have struggled with the quality of the intercom systems. Many of them were installed 30 plus years ago, the vast majority of our schools. And it's because it's such a system that's embedded into the infrastructure of the building, and they're not easy to replace. And it was cost prohibitive for us to replace them before we had ESSER funds. The moment we had ESSER funds, we said, this is our chance to get us to the 21st century, to put in a system that is scalable. The only other school that has it in our district is Gallego Intermediate, because we renovated that school 7 years ago. And at that point, we said, well, let's seize this opportunity to put them with a system that is modern, it's more functional, it's more flexible. And so we tackled this with ESSER funds, and we're taking the same approach with using internal sources to realize significant cost savings. And I cannot overstate that comment. We're saving literally hundreds of thousands, not millions of dollars, because we're able to tackle this project during the school day and occasional evening work rather than pay an external contractor. What's the drawback from that? It takes a little bit more time, but we have put ourselves into a position where all of our systems that were needed to be replaced were placed first. We're continuing to use our existing systems as we're replacing them, and right now we're working on, when are we working at, Shane? Esperanza is underway right now. We just completed Los Amigos last week, and so we're just tackling roughly a school a month, and we expect to be able to be completed with this by the end of the school year, with all of our systems receiving a very significant upgrade to our income systems. And I'm particularly proud of this because this is going to improve our security systems too. From the principals from a phone will be able to dial in and record a message, do a lockdown from, they don't even need to be on campus. They'll have access to that system and control any announcements, control any all calls. So this is a significant improvement as well. That's a quick picture of one of the school's new speaker systems. I'm also going to cover for Mr. Ryan Powell and just give you a quick overview of our of our security projects underway. One of the things is that we're actively developing a radio upgrade because as we identified it with the security audits, and as you heard during our town hall, if you were able to attend the town hall, that this is one of our areas that we identify as a need of improving. Again, it's equipment that's long overdue for an upgrade, and it's going to provide better communications and bridge our communications between transportation and security and the school site. So we're going to plan for that upgrade. So that's an active project that's underway. Some of the other projects for security are visitor management. We provided the Bond Advisory Committee a quick overview of the visitor management, and I think as you've walked our schools, you've seen many of the improvements with the entries to our schools, with not only just the gates, but also the visitor management schools entries systems at our elementary schools in particular. So we're adding pass-through windows to the front office gates, chain link fencing for single point of entries. That's an important posture we need to have, is that we only have a single point of entry on our campuses, and Mr. Powell is actively completing any deficiencies that ensure that that's happening. Our guard check procedures. We've noticed with positive feedback from even community members how that the security on that has been moved up a notch. People are commenting to us, they like how it's, there's a more thorough questioning of, well, why are you here? It's even from last year to this year. And so that's been an improvement that Mr. Powell's leadership has helped achieve. And you can see another one is the door hardware at Sunnyside High School. We're actively pursuing how we can address some of those old door equipment, and we're submitting a school facilities board request for funding to be able to replace the door hardware at Sunnyside High School. And then once if that proves to be feasible and achieved, use the same process with school facilities board funding to do the same thing at other schools that have a need for door hardware. So those are some of the security projects underway. Oh, I'm sorry, the threat assessment. Mr. Powell did mention that the Pima County Regional Active Shooter Response Committee, whose mission is to standardize the policies, assessment tools, training, and equipping of officers and school staff within Pima County in order to prevent, prepare for, and respond to an active school shooting effectively. What Mr. Powell has in his communications with our law enforcement partners say that we have an excellent partnership, and we are always watching our posture, watching our preparedness, and this is an active project that he's continuing to work with to maintain that partnership and to improve our systems related to that threat assessment. So it's another important priority under Mr. Powell's direction. I would invite Mr. Mario Castro to come up here to discuss our CTE projects.
Thank you, Mr. Baca. Clerk Taylor, members of the board, Superintendent Mr. Costello, members of the audience, it's my pleasure to announce and just talk briefly about the CTE projects that are going on currently here in our district. I just want to preface this by saying a lot of this work was done by the previous CTE director, Anjay Utter, so I'd like to thank her for getting the ball rolling on these projects. There's other members of our district who are helping assist with the progression of these projects. So it's an honor to be able to take the ball and roll with it along with my colleagues who are sitting behind me. The first one I want to talk about, and again, we can talk more about the programs and more in depth in another, but if you have questions, please feel free to ask. I just wanted to briefly go over where we're at in terms of the status of the programs, buildings. So the first one is at Desert View High School. We will be opening up a home health care aid program there. And actually, our good friend over here, Mr. Joel, he was able to do a request for invitations for bid. And so that went out last Friday. So the process has begun. I'm sure there's vendors and contractors out there who are excited about bidding for this project. We hope that it'll all be said and done and a decision will be made on the contractor by the end of September. So that's pretty exciting. Hopefully shortly thereafter we can break ground on this building, really exciting building, a couple rooms, an outdoor space where we can really get the students involved in the medical career area. The next building we want to talk about. Go ahead, sir.
I just wanted to quickly add, so going back to the Desert View slide here, in case you're wondering where on the campus that's going to be built, it's going to be built right behind the gymnasium. There's a couple basketball courts there. It's not going to take up the basketball courts. It's going to be built on the right side, I believe, of those basketball courts. And there's it's a gravel area, right?
Correct.
And so that's where that's going to be located.
Thank you, Mr. Costello. Next building is located, I'll start with the location of it, is right in that entering the Freshman Academy area there where the tech room is. And there's some portables that are currently being removed, and that's where the location of this building will be set. There was a requisition just submitted for plans and basically blueprints that the architect at SBS Plus will be working on. Hopefully within the next month or so, he will have something in place. We can then send that over to purchasing, and they can send it out for bid for contractors. And the nice thing about this particular building is it does not require water or any kind of plumbing. So that will help in terms of the speed in which it can be built. We know that there is sort of a crisis in terms of building supplies. So we're crossing our fingers and hoping that we can move forward with this building as quickly as possible so it's ready for the fall. This particular building will host the cyber technologies program. It's in the same vein as our software development program that we have at Sunnyside, but we're going to change gears a little bit and move towards sort of cybersecurity and more of the protection of infrastructures when it comes to networks and such. So that's kind of where we're going with that. And then the last one is Mr. Gutierrez's Precision Manufacturing and Drafting building over at Desert View High School. There was a overhang built to provide more space, more workspace, more equipment space several years back. And the goal ultimately was to enclose it so that students and equipment could be housed in that area. Unfortunately, the contractor who finished the overhang, he passed away, so the work could not continue. It did not continue. And that was just right before the pandemic started. So now we're at this place where we feel comfortable moving forward with enclosing it. So we are going to be asking a structural engineer to begin making plans for Mr. Gutierrez so that we can, again, make plans and then hire a contractor and begin that. It'll truly add a ton of space for the students. And you've seen that equipment in that building. So it's really going to help with enhancing it even more. I mean, it's already a beautiful, well-equipped space, but I think this will it'll just continue with being able to support our students with that program, which just so you know, Mr. Gutierrez is starting an associate program this year with a cohort of freshmen. So we're hoping by the time they're seniors, they will graduate not only with their high school diploma, but also their associate's degree. Also within that bid, we will also ask for the demolition of these welding hoods that have sort of become archaic within the standards and the systems that he's put in place. He doesn't need them anymore, so we'd like to remove those as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Castro.
Any questions?
Nice.
Any other questions of this
No, I've taken a tour with Miss Dong of that whole side of the campus, and I mean that whole wing of DV is just, it's almost self-sustaining, right? If a chair breaks or they can fix it, right? There's a kitchen. I mean, if there was an apocalypse, that would be the place I would want to be. Unlock the doors and lock myself in there. So no, it's a really fascinating facility, and I'm glad we're going to be looking at upgrading and coming of age. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I'll just close by saying that as you see that there are a lot of large-scale projects underway. These construction projects are gonna be coming up soon. The marquees, the artificial turf, the auditoriums. So with Mr. Castellum, Ms. Walter, our DLT members, we've been assessing kind of what are our needs, and we may be identifying a need to hire a project manager. But so we're in the process of considering what that is and what that might be, and we may be coming to the governing board to discuss the potential of hiring a project manager to help us ensure that these projects continue to move forward smoothly. And so that completes our project management presentation. Thank you, members of the board.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have our fiscal year 21-22 override and bond expenditure report. Ms. Carla Walter.
Good evening, Mr. Taylor, Ms. Dong, Ms. Quintero, Superintendent Gastelum, and Sunnyside community. We just thought it would be appropriate to bring this report to you sooner rather than later. Arizona revised statutes, ARS 15481 and 15491K require districts to come before its governing board and do a presentation on override and bond funds. So since we've been celebrating our BOC committee and highlighting all the important projects that we have underway here at Sunnyside, we just deemed it appropriate to come with you, to you with this report now. The next slide shows, first and foremost, the override. And as you know, we don't have an override in place, so there are no expenditures to report. However, I thought it would be important to give you a little bit of history as far as the override expenditures here at the school district. Since 2007, 2008, we had approximately an $8 million override in place that phased out in the 12, 13, and 14 years to 2/3 and then 1/3. So since that year, the district has not had an override in place. This next slide gives you a summary of bond fund expenditures through the end of 21-22. When the voters of this community approved the bond in November of 2011, I believe that in the voter pamphlet, we identified 6 major categories in which the monies would be spent. District-wide remodeling and renovations, $32 million there. Athletic programs, $10 million. Student technology for $27 million. Security upgrades, $1 million. Fine arts magnet schools, $12 million, and transportation buses, $6 million, totaling the $88 million bond authorization. The bond funds, we didn't have all the $88 million all at once. This was sold in 7 different series, starting from 2012 through 2018, and we have provided in your packets a more detailed report so you can see when those were sold. To date, total expenses in all those categories, including the cost of issuing bond expenditures, totaled $85.8 million. Total encumbrances, and these are encumbrances in the current fiscal year, I might add, about $1 million there, with a remaining balance of $1.1 million, of which earlier tonight you approved a few projects for outdoor tennis courts and basketball courts resurfacing. And for the 2 high schools, that's $957,687, with about $160,000 left over, so that we could identify any additional elementary schools and middle schools that are in need of the same type of project for outdoor courts. Okay. So pretty much these funds are already spent, but that report will come to you next year, showing that we have a 0 balance. Okay. So with that, again, this is just a recap. This information is available on the district website for the people to see, you know, where the monies were earmarked and how they've been spent over this period of time of, 10 years. So with that, we just want to thank the Sunnyside voters and community and everybody else that's been involved in this major bond sale. Hopefully, you know, we can look at something in the future, and I'd be happy to engage in that since I have no historical knowledge about what happened, but it looks like you put your dollars to spend in the best interest of our students here in the community.
Thank you, Ms. Walter. Do we have any questions? Comments?
Thank you.
I just thank you for putting this together. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
That's an action item, if I may.
Oh, do we have to approve it? Oh, yes, we do.
Oh, yes, we do. Okay.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve the 2022, 2021, 2022 bond fund expenditure report as submitted.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Dong?
Yes.
Ms. Quintero?
Aye.
Mr. Taylor?
Aye. Thank you, Ms. Walter. Okay, now we've got our enrollment update. Mr. Baca?
Thank you, Mr. Taylor, members of the board, Superintendent Castellum. As we opened school, you may recall we provided a very brief glimpse at what our enrollment was looking to be, and so today was our 15th day. And as you'll hear from me, and I'll be as brief as possible, but also as informational as possible and answer any questions you have, that our 15th day has historically been that day where we, all of our data converges to accurate data that is in our student information system. And we've been able to, follow this data and develop trends, mathematical trends over the course of 7 years, to be able to come to what we feel is a very highly predictable model of what we can show for what our ADM is going to be. So what you just saw, Mr. Shane, could you switch back and forth? If you look at the previous one, you see all those reds? That was last year's day 15. So what we're pleased to present here today, and switch to the new this year.
That
Shane.
was loss of students.
That was a loss of students. So now you see the mostly green column. That represents an increase in students, or in most cases, somewhat. There's a couple of areas where we do see loss, but you can see what a significant change that was. Last year we saw a net decrease of over 400 students at this point from the previous year, and right now we're only seeing a net decrease of 200 students. And I have to qualify that comment because our preschool is just about to open, or actually did open yesterday. And that's going to increase our preschool numbers that hasn't been represented on this by probably another 100 students. So our net loss will only be about 100 students. That is very significant. I have to, having seen this data year after year after year, study this very closely, this is a good sign for our future enrollment. It's the key part that's contributing to that, though, is Desert View High School. And a few elementary schools, like you can see the high growth schools. Elvira has a large increase, and then we have Los Amigos with this moderate, Santa Clara with actually a moderate, which we were pleased to see because Santa Clara had been on a downward decrease pattern for several years. And you see Desert View right now standing at 150 students above what they were last year at this point. And that's just, I mean, we're both, Mr. Castello and I, we're both kind of a little bit surprised and like what we still don't know exactly what accounts for that particular school's increase. We know we have a large freshman class, larger than ever, larger than Sunnyside's, but that's just an unusual trend. So we're going to take note of it and study it further and report back to you. As I mentioned, if you could scroll down just a little bit, Shane, to the areas, we're down about 202 students overall. Just before, one more up, Shane. So that one red item is 176. That's actually also a positive sign because those are our remote learner students. Last year we had such a large number of remote learners, and we are now down to 176. And of that 100, down to only 75. A total of 75. Excuse me. We're down by 176 from last year. The vast majority of those students just returned to their home schools. That negative 176 those students are sprinkled across all those other schools. We only have 75 true SOSA students, and of those true SOSA students, only 14 of this are currently 4.8. And we feel that's just a very positive sign because the remote learning environment for especially the younger students is not what we want to have. We know it's not in their best interests. And so this is a sign that our students are coming back to school. And we do intend on closing down. We closed down our K3 SOSA program this year. And we do intend on closing down our 4.8 remaining SOSA program for next year. So we will no longer offer remote learning, true completely remote learning for our K8 grade levels. We'll continue to offer it our 9-12 levels as we traditionally have. Just because as we've seen the negative impacts of remote learning, we really want to encourage opportunities for our students to come into school. That's where they're served best. So that's a positive indication of the change in some of these numbers. But that doesn't account for our net increase. And when I say increase, we're only down 100 students, and last year we were down 400 students. So there's a net increase of 300 plus students that we have realized, and we don't know, if those were just students who decided to go elsewhere and then now have come back to the Sunnyside community. The increase at the high schools is interesting and unique that we're going to study closely. So that's a positive sign. As we just give you a little bit more information, this shows our daily enrollment summary. Just scroll down a little bit there, Shane. So you can see this summarizes all that same information, and I won't spend too much time. What you can see is the vast majority of our if you compare from 14-15 to this year, we've lost 3,000 students. And the vast majority of those losses is at the elementary level. And that's because we just started seeing lower and lower incoming class sizes starting 8-9 years ago. And now they've just made their way up through our middle schools. And now we're starting to see our middle schools really hit a lower increase. We have a very low population at Laffer. Challenger has lost a lot of students. And so we're seeing that wave of low cohorts move through the system. That will eventually hit our high schools, but thankfully we have other means to attract students into our high schools, like our academies and other good programs that seem to mitigate the losses when they get to the high school level. So we hope that trend continues. And maybe this will represent the close to the end of that downward trend. We don't know if we can't say that today, but we know it's less than it was last year, so that's encouraging. And scroll down a little bit more, Shane. So this graph represents a prediction model that we've used in the past. Try to see, I don't know if you can zoom out a little bit just so that we can see that that whole screen here. Yeah. So the number from the flattening of the curve, right? Yeah. No. Okay, that's fine, Shane. So column M. I don't know if you can see column M, but you can see that the curve starts to flatten. That's this year, where it's got a steeper slope, and then that slope decreases to where that number says 13,639. So about 13,640 is what we're projecting is our enrollment going to be this year. I mean, our ADM going to be this year. If we continued with the same trend from last year, we would have continued down a much deeper slope, and we project lower student population. So this is an encouraging sign. The remaining years beyond that are just projections, mathematical projections about how we probably will end up seeing it. If you scroll down to the next graph, Shane, this is just a comparison between what we predict. So that red line represents if this year's model continues, that's the trend line that will make it out towards the next 10 years. If a similar model of what we've seen in the past continues, then that lower blue line is what we'll see over the next few years. At the end of that graph in 2930 is 800 to 900 students. And so we expect that a reasonable prediction is going to be somewhere between those two lines. And so that's encouraging, and perhaps it could even start to increase. We don't know that. Maybe this 115 student loss ADM that we're seeing this year actually starts to flatten out, and maybe we'll start to increase a little bit. What we do know is that historically, our student population has been inversely related to the state of the economy. So when the economy is in poor shape, we have higher population of students and vice versa. And so if we are seeing signs of the economy having an impact on our local community, then we may see an increase in student enrollment. So I hope that was a lot. And one last thing, if you could scroll left, Shane, left to that one. Yeah, scroll up again. Up. Yeah, right there. That projections model. This projections model, I just want to emphasize how this is how we're able to give accurate predictions. We projected last year 1,350 ADM based off of the mathematical model that we've developed over years. And our actual was 1,753. So we're off by 3 ADM on that projection. And so this model has proven to be very accurate. And so what that model simply does is it takes our actual student count on today, day 15, compares it to what our ending ADM is, and it always comes out to be about 94%. So of the 94% of the number of our students enrolled today, it, over the course of 7 years has proven to be an accurate end predictor to be the ADM that we achieve at the end of the year. So using that same percentage applied to today's numbers, we end up with a prediction of 1,640, which is much higher than we were worried about, even much higher than what we budgeted for this year. We budgeted at 13,500. I don't know why I'm saying 1,000. 13,500. And so we already expect that our ADM will probably be over 150 more than what we budgeted for when we presented the budget earlier this summer. So that's the enrollment overview. I know it's been a lot, and I've rushed through it, and apologize if I've spoken too quickly, but I wanted to, in the interest of time, give you the information, and then of course answer any questions you have.
Thank you, Mr. Baca. Do we have any questions?
I just wish we had more children. But thank you. This was really enlightening.
This is encouraging to me that we're not just continuously going down, but we actually have more students than we expected. To me, this is very encouraging. I think it's because of people finding out all the different things that Sunnyside has to offer, the marketing that has been happening, and the continuing to highlight all the great things that Sunnyside does. I think has really helped.
And I would add that one of the other positive notes about having less of a student loss, especially at elementary levels, is that we're not having such a disruption in serving teachers. So we haven't had to make any in years past, we had to do a lot of shifts. Yeah. We have 2 little students at this grade level at this school and move this teacher over here. As it stands right now, and Ms. Gallegos can correct me if I'm wrong, we only had 1 school where we had to make a slight adjustment just within the school. But they're not losing teachers from that school. The teachers are being asked to move to a different location. Yeah. That's really beneficial to the continuity of the start of the school year and being a more positive experience for our students. Morale, yeah. And teacher morale. So yeah, that was another positive sign that we've seen with this impact of the decreasing enrollment not being as severe.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. No, thank everyone involved. I mean, for this. I mean, through marketing, through our CTE, through our new facilities, through all the programs that we have to offer. That is definitely something that will continue to attract new students to this district because they are pretty phenomenal. So thank you for the presentation on this.
Thank you.
That concludes that. Do we have any suggestions for future agenda items?
I do not.
Okay. And no unfinished business. So can I get a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
I'll second that.
Roll call.
Ms. Dong?
Yes.
Ms. Quintero?
Aye.
Mr. Taylor?
Aye. Meeting adjourned. Good night, everyone.
10.
I hope my car didn't get blown away out there.
I hope I remember to roll up my windows.
I hope I forgot to put the. Otherwise, I'm going to be swimming home.
It was coming down.
It was coming down. Do we all have to go to the school and mop up?
I've done that. I lost my glasses
I know
for like
my
5
wife-
days.
My wife texted me, she goes,
Do you want
"We were
these?
making dinner," and I'm like, "Why?" She's like, "Electricity went out."
I couldn't do it.
And then I go, I told her, "We have a deadly stove."
Emotions. And then with my glasses.
I lost power.
Light a candle. No.
I thought it was
No, she
just
said it
when
came
you had
back
the
on.
glasses, but okay, that is
I
kind
think
of
we're
light.
gonna have to have our copier or printer looked at.
Yeah.
Oh, that's